What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about Bitcoin today. Hit that like button, you guys. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and let's get into it. All right, it is the 5th day of June today. Here we are at about $104.5 thousand with 9 hours and 6 minutes left in the day. Let's get into this. All right, let's talk about this. So, looking at this move overall, from a low to a high, we're a little bit away from the 236 here at about $101.7 thousand. We're a little ways away from that. I would expect that we find support there. That's probably the area that we find direct support, direct contact, and then we continue to build to new all-time highs. Maybe at this pace, maybe at a faster pace, maybe at a slower pace, whatever. But we're gonna be moving up from this point here. Okay, that's the expectation. Some people, if you're aware of the fibs, you know how unlikely it is to find support at the 236. Most times you don't do that. You actually find support at the 382 or lower before moving higher. So the probability of finding support here is not necessarily in our advantage. But in strong movements, which I would say this is a strong movement for Bitcoin, we do find support at the 236. It's more common. And if we take into consideration, we put this at the line right there at that 236. Let's just put this right here. Get rid of this. We take into consideration how big of a drop this is relative to this whole move. Bitcoin's been in a very, very robust move, you guys. It's seeing some good growth over the last 2 months, right? I guess over the last like half month we've been moving down, but really this is some good growth, consistent, very tenacious growth. Throughout this whole time, from a high to a low, the biggest drop we got was like 4.6%, 4.5%. What is it? Let's see. High to low here, 4.7%. Yeah. Nothing crazy, right? Nothing crazy. Right now, this drop going down to the 236, this yellow line, that would promote like a 9.2% drop, which that's basically double what any of these drops were here. What the average drop was, something like that, right? It's basically double. So don't tell me that we have to go lower than this whenever over the last 2 months' time we haven't seen a drop of this magnitude. It was like half this big, if half this much of a drop, if not less. Right, we're seeing twice the drop here on average. And we're at a perfect area to find support, being at prior support here, prior resistance right there, support right there, support, resistance, a little bit of resistance right here on the shelf, and then of course to top it all off, that's our 236, which normally you don't find support. You continue to build from there, but in this kind of environment, I think we will. I think it actually makes a lot of sense that we would. Now it's very possible, and we've addressed this I think for the past week, the possibility of going down to $95.8 thousand, right? That's a 14% drop overall, and that could happen. That's still a pretty tame drop for Bitcoin, honestly. 14% going down all the way to the golden ratio, 22% drop. That could happen too. That's pretty standard for this cycle. I doubt that we go there though. I really doubt that we go there. These 20 and the people who think that we're going to go down to this level or lower, because Bitcoin throughout this whole cycle and its significant corrective phases, if we look at this here. All right, here's the logic that's flawed for the people that think that we're going to go down below $90,000. Here's the logic that's flawed. The reason why they think this is because from a high, and this is for the people out there who think this, but this is also for the people who don't think this, who get in arguments with these people, and you know they're wrong, you know they're crazy, but you need something to validate that. Maybe you're not a technical analyst. Let me give you something right here, okay, to invalidate the people who say we're going below 90K. They're saying we're going below 90K because 21.7% drop there. That's what we've seen this cycle. High to low here. This is what we've seen. 33% drop there, overall. High to low here. We saw a 32% drop, right? Overall, 21 to 32% drops, like throughout this whole thing. Even here, let's see. High to low. That's a 22% drop there even. You know what I mean? And this same thing, we saw this 21% drop twice right here. Right here, high to low. Even these smaller drops, these are all 20% drops or more, right? But the thing is, all of these happened. Well, I guess these two happened earlier in the cycle before the halving, right? But these bigger moves happened in large consolidation phases, very, very large consolidation phases, right? This happened during the ETF. This was beginning of the bull market, like trying to figure ourselves out, maybe a little volatility, a little scare, quick shakeout because we're finding resistance at prior resistance, something like that. We got none of that going on now, right? There's no ETF news to shake up the markets. There's no curiosity if we're in the bull market or bear market. We're in full stride at new all-time highs in the bull market. And anytime that we've seen this kind of full stride endeavor, right here when we were in full stride, and we might have slowed down a little bit. Did we stop here? No, we were just above our highs, our prior highs. We kept going. Right here, when we're in full stride, when we got just above our highs right here, we might have stopped for a little bit. Did we stop here? No, we kept going. Right here, when we're in full stride and we got just above our recent highs, did we stop at all? No, not really. No, we kept going. Here we are in full stride, just above our highs. Are we going to stop here? Maybe for a little bit. Or we're going to go up, though. We're going to go up in a very, very short amount of time. I doubt that we're going to see any kind of lower prices. So just if anybody out there is thinking that we're going to go down 20% or 30%, just understand they're basically comparing it to these larger corrective phases that Bitcoin's had throughout this cycle, right? And we're not in one of those moments right now. We're not in a large corrective phase like this or this. We still have more of this move to go. And if that doesn't prove it to you, let me prove it to you real quick, okay? Trend line here from a low to a high, right? Trend line here from a low to a high. Not the actual high, but just the relative high of the move, okay? I'm going to move these trend lines. Trend line, right? Trend line here from the low to the high. Oop. And then same thing here from the low to the high. But I'm not going to take this low. I'm going to take the low of where the move started and the high here. Okay, that's the all-time high, but I'm going to take the high from where the move ended. So if we put all these lines, put all of them right here at this low, right? First off, actually, let's take all of them and put them together. Which ones are the smallest ones? I think it's very obvious. These two are the smallest ones. So let's put that at the low there. We'll put this one at the low there. So out of all the moves we've seen this cycle so far, the two smallest moves that we have are larger dramatically than what we are at now. This smallest move would call for a move up at least to 135K, if not 140K. Compared to the larger moves that we've seen, and I would expect that we should compare Bitcoin to these larger moves because as the cycle goes on, we historically do get larger moves to come in, right? And we can validate that too, but I'm not going to go through all that. Low to high. And it is valid. We validated it plenty of times. As the cycle's going on, the moves are getting bigger. This would call for a move that's all the way up at 150K. And likely, if the moves are getting bigger, we're not even going to stop there. We're going to go above there. So this move right now, if anybody out there is thinking we're going to see a 20 to 30% drop or more, you're crazy. You're crazy. Stop it. Stop it. What? Oh, we're at the end of the cycle. It's different now. These were bull market retracements. Now we're in a bear market. Okay, that's the one point that you have that you can actually speculate on because what? You're comparing it from here to here. It looks very similar right here, right? You're comparing that. People compared that last time over here. They literally said that this was comparable to this whole range. Now they're saying this whole range is comparable to that whole range. All it takes is a little 5%, 10% move to the upside to invalidate that, right? But they're going to keep coping throughout the whole time, right? They bears at this point just need any kind of reason, any kind of leg to stand on to be bearish. That right there is one reason. If you're calling for a double top, which this would be actually a triple tops likely don't happen, actually. They have a low statistical probability of following through. But if you are calling this a double top or a triple top, that's your only leg to stand on at the moment. But it's a very weak leg, my friends. Looking at the weekly RSI, rejecting the overbought zone, I would expect that we go lower, but not too much lower, right? We're at 104.6K now. I think that we'll go down to about 101.7K right there at that 236. Remember, that's the expectation right there. If we're looking at the 1 hour time frame here, we are building volume. Wow, okay. Yeah, but let's look at it on Coinbase. Okay, we are, yeah. Building volume, getting a little volatility, rejecting areas that you would expect to reject in the RSI if you're going down. Finding higher lows overall, which is nice. I must admit, it is nice. I still think you're going to go lower. You're in a position now where you're in like lower lows, lower highs. I think you got a date with destiny down to the oversold zone, and we're not there yet. So that tells me as the hours go on, I don't care. Go up, go down, do whatever. You're going to keep following this path down. You're just in a slow bleed to the downside. That's my expectation. A little bit of volatility here and there, right? Go down, go up, go down, go up. 4 hour time frame. Looking at this here. Again, I would expect that you do drop. You've got a very volatile 4 hour candle here, which is nice. That's great, but overall it's shifted to the downside, absolutely. Yeah, I think the 4 hour, I mean, you would at least expect to get to the oversold zone, if not into the oversold zone. Yeah, that's the expectation. I don't think I have anything else that I want to say, right? I think we've gone over enough. So yeah, the expectation at the moment is to go below this low. We're looking for support somewhere between 102.1 thousand to 100.8 thousand, right? Something in this zone here, likely above this low, likely somewhere probably at these closing lows right here, right? Yeah. But below this low is what I'm thinking. Below that low, above that low, somewhere in between. I got nothing else for you guys. Hit the like button, subscribe. Thank you all for being here. I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.